Hey guys, welcome back for another video. Today we are going to be making this fab warrior beanie. So if it's a long video, I do apologise. So you're going to need a full skein of a full ball of chunky weight yarn. This one is 100 grams, approximately 237 metres. You do have a little bit left but not much. And it's Hayfield bonus chunky extra value, and it's in acrylic. Also, some chunky black. A lot of people don't like using black, but yeah, for this video I do apologise, I've had to use. And just some leftover yarn. So I made this sweater a few weeks ago. This is what I had left, so I decided to make myself a nice matching hat. You're also going to need a 5mm crochet hook, a yarn needle, some stitch markers and a pair of scissors. And I think that's about it. So let's just dive straight in and let's go on with this video. Ciao! Right guys, so what we're going to do is with our 5mm crochet hook and our yarn, we are going to make a slip knot, place that in your hook, don't pull it too tight, it just serves a little space there, and then we're going to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're making a chain 5 loop. So go back into your first stitch, pull up loop for a slip stitch, and finish your slip stitch, and then you can just wiggle this apart a bit, and you've got a nice loop there. Now I'm going to work over this tail. And then what we're going to do is, in the centre of this loop, is we are going to place in 12 double crochet. So without making any chains, we're just going to yarn over and go straight into the centre. Just like this. So this is number 2. Three. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and this last one makes 12. Rightio. And what we're going to do is we're going to get our yarn tail and give this a bit of a tug. Not so tight, because you don't want to actually break this, because then you're in trouble, but just enough to close the centre up a little bit. And then we are going to go into the top of this first double crochet right here. Can be a bit tricky to see. And we're going to make a slip stitch. And I will see you for the next round. Right, round 2. What we're going to do is we're going to chain 2. And into this same place where the slip stitch is, we are going to put in a double crochet. Right there. And then we're going to put in another double crochet in the next stitch, and another double crochet in that same stitch. So what we're going to do is we are going to put in 2 double crochet in each and every single stitch around, and by the end you'll have 24 double crochet, and you will be finishing round here, so I will join back up with you there. Right, so I just have 2 left on this round, so they're just going to go in right here. Like that, so that's number 24. Make sure you don't think this is a stitch here, even though it looks like it should be. But if you look at this one here, and where it's coming from, that's already going through here. So yeah, don't mistake that one for a stitch. And then in the top of this one, make sure you get under both of them, if you can. If you can't, whatever. You're not going to see it anyway. Just going to put in a slip stitch and then chain 2, and I will see you for the next round. Right, round 3, what we're going to do is chain 2 to start with, and then we're not going to work into the same stitch where this chain is, but we're going to go into the next one with a 2 double crochet for an increase. And then 1 in the next stitch, 2 in the next one, 1 in the next one, 2 in the next one. So what this is doing is it's creating another round of increases with 1 stitch in between, like this. So we have 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and we're going to carry on this the same until we get all the way around where we should be finishing on a increase. Right, so what we're going to do is I'm just going to put in my last 2 into this round, and by this point you should have 36 stitches. Remember, don't go into this one, because that ain't a stitch. That's where this first one's coming out of. So as you can see, this one here is standing by itself, where I've got my thumb, this thumb, and then the next one is your increase, then 1, then 2, then 1. So that means that you should be landing on a increase on this last stitch here. That's a good indication of that you've done the round right. And then we're just going to go into the top of this one with a slip stitch and chain 2 directly, and then we will be back onto round 4. Right, so now we are on round 4 and we have our chain 2. We are going to go into the next stitch with a single crochet and then a 2 double crochet in the next one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So that's 1, 2. Then in the next one we are going to go in with an increase, so that is 2 double crochet in the same stitch, and then 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then in the next one a increase. So I'm going to do the rest of this off camera because I don't want to bore the hell out of you all. And when you finish here, you should be on a increase. So I will catch you back then. Right, round 5. What we're going to do is we are going to do 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 in the next, and then 2 in the next. An increase, and then what we're going to do is, this where the pattern starts to repeat itself, is we're going to put 1 in the next, 1 in the next, 1 in the next, so that's 1 in the next 3, and then into the 4th one, an increase. So then again, one into the next 3, and then into the 4th, an increase. And we're going to continue that until we get back round at the very end. Right, now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got 5 rounds of increases. I'm going to stop increasing now because I always like my beanie hats to be a little on the tight side, especially since we're going to be putting a few attachments on here. It just makes it sit better, it makes it look better, and it's always nice for it to be a little bit more snug. So I'm going to continue working on rounds, and in a second I'll tell you how many rounds I've worked for this size. At the moment I always like to double check and try things on as I'm working, so yes, I will be back in a flash. Right guys, so I worked excuse me, 6 extra rounds on this beanie. So it's not going to be the correct size yet because we're still working on this main base. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off my yarn, and I am just going to pull this through. I did have a slip stitch in there, which an extra chain in there, which I don't need. So I'm just going to pull that through, and I'm going to cut this a little bit shorter, not too short, because we are going to be working this in eventually. And I'm just going to pull some more yarn out of my yarn ball. Right, now what I've done is I've counted from the centre here, I've counted to 11 stitches, including this first one, and put a stitch marker in my 12th, because I don't want to work into that one. And then I've counted the same amount of stitches out onto the other side. Now, this is going to be the back of the hat, so these ideally want to land where your ears are. And then I'm going to pick a side, and yeah, so the opening of the hat is facing away from me, and I'm just going to go into this 11 stitch with a chain 2, and actually no, I want to go in there with a chain 3 on this, and I'm going to work over this tail a little bit until I get to the middle. And so we're just going to work in double crochets, 1 in each stitch, because we're not increased anymore. I'll just do all this on camera, I think, because it's easy enough to follow what I'm doing. So what this is going to do is it's going to give like a shape around the back. So now we're on the other side of our join. Sorry if my lighting's horrific today. Again, we've gone about about 2 weeks with constant rain and no sunshine here in England. But then again, that's what you get. It is November. Nearly coming up to our well, no, we have come up to our stitch marker. So I don't want to go any further than this one. So what I'm going to do is I am going to chain 2. Turn my work. I'm not going straight back into here, but I'm going to go into the next one. And then work back along that row. So what I'll do is I'm going to do the rest of this off camera, and then I will be back. Right, just coming up to the end of this row. So I've got 2 more stitches because I'm counting this chain 3 on the end as a stitch. So then I'm going to go into the top of that chain, if I can. Sometimes I chain quite tightly, so just got to bear with. And there we are. Right, I'm going to stop here. Again, I always like to try things on as I'm working, so I can see if it's going to be the right size, so bear with me for 1 second. Yeah. But that's going to be fine for what we're doing today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip off again, and I'm just going to pull that through. So all these little tail ends can be worked through, and I'm going to also remove my stitch markers. No need for them anymore, and I will see you back for the next part of this video. Right, on to the next part of the video. I've been a little cheeky and weaved in all my stray ends there, and now I'm going to be completely annoying and use black. Well, anyway, it's only for one row, it's not for very much, so I'm going to turn my hat around so we have the seam on the back. I'm going to turn it around again, so my hat is facing away from me, so that's the open part, and I'm just going to pick a stitch and go in, and then leave a tail, chain one, and all I'm going to do for this round, simple, I know it's in black, but you know, so bear with. We are going to go in with a single crochet in each stitch around. So what I'm going to do is I will go around these corners here with you, so you can see what I'm doing, and also I'm going to explain. Right, I'm in a place where there is the crochet and the chain stitch. So I'm going to go into the next one with a single crochet, chain one, and then I'm going to go back into that same stitch with a single crochet, and then in these gaps here between the crochets, I'm going to put one in there, I'm going to put another one in there, so that's two in that space. I'm going to skip over this part here, and into the next space I'm going to place two, just like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in a single right here, and then I'm going to put a single crochet in each stitch all the way around. And I'm going to do the same on this corner on the other side. So I will meet you back there. Right, I'm just going to grab a different colour here. This is a James C. Brett yarn, but you can use any yarn as long as it's roughly the same weight. And I'm just going to go in a couple of stitches behind where I've finished off this black. And I'm going to go in with a slip stitch and chain one. I'm going to put these tails in a bit later on, because I don't like to work them in across when I'm making a beanie. Right, so I'm just going to put in one half double crochet in each stitch along this row. And what this is going to do is give us a bit more length and shape to our beanie. Also add in a little bit of colour and a little bit of detail. But you know, you don't have to use the colours I'm using today. You can use any colours you like. It's a great little project if you've got some nice little scraps lying around, because you don't need much. I'm just coming up to this corner now. So in this corner, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wing it like everything else in my life. So 1, 2, and then chain 1, and then another 2 in there, I think. So, yeah, and that's just going to be enough to get us around this corner here, and then 1 into the next stitch, 1 into the next, 1 into the next stitch, and then we are in this corner here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to miss one stitch and go into the next. So skipping a stitch and then going straight along. and I'm just going to do the exact same but in reverse on the other side, and I will meet back with you here. Right, so I'm just at the end of this particular row, and I'm just going into this last stitch, and then I'm going to slip stitch to join. Can be a little tricky to see sometimes. Bit sure I say that on every round, but hey. And I'm just going to pull a nice tail out there. And you're going to hate me again in a minute because I'm going straight back onto my black yarn again. This is hopefully the last part of the beanie which I'm actually using black, but hey, it has to be done. Or it doesn't, it depends what colour you're using. Right, so again I'm just going to pick a stitch. I don't want to go anywhere near here this time, so I'm going to go in front of it. And I'm just going to kind of go somewhere near the centre this time. Pull up loop, pull up a bit of a tail, chain one, and we are just going to work in single crochets again for this in each stitch until we get to this corner, and then we'll work that with you. So one, well, I'm not going to count, but you know, it's because everybody might end up having a slightly different stitch count, but that's fine. So at the moment I'm just putting one into each stitch. Making sure I don't crochet too tight. And then we are back in this corner. So go into the gap. Sorry if this is difficult to see, but in this corner we've got 2 half double crochets, a chain one space, and 2 half double crochets. So what I'm doing is I'm going directly in between there and doing 1 single crochet, 1 chain, 1 single crochet, and then carry on, because that's enough to get you around that corner. So I'm back to another corner, my inside corner here, and so it doesn't end up kind of bulking itself outwards. I'm just going to miss a stitch somewhere around in these, somewhere around in this corner. You can kind of miss a stitch there, and that just cinches it in slightly and stops it from curving outwards. And then I'm just going to carry on working in single crochets, 1 in each stitch, until I get back to the other side, and I'm going to work the other side here the exact same way as I have worked there. Right, so basically what I've done is I've finished that last round in black. This is the front of beanie, this is the back. As you can see, we have this slight seam here, but that's fine, that gets covered over later. And now I'm going back to my main colour, my main grey, and making sure your hat's facing away from you. And so I'm working on the back. I've woven all my ends in because they annoy the hell out of me, because it was starting to get a few too many. And then I'm just going to pick a stitch in the back and pull up a loop, and I think I'm going to do single crochet again, I think, for this, because it's about big enough, yeah. And I'm just going to pop a single crochet in each stitch in this main colour, just to give it that extra edge. You know, I love this pattern because it's quite an easy pattern, but when it's finished, it pulls it all together, and it's got a nice amount of detail without it getting too complicated. Right, so I'm just at my corner again here, so I'm going to do 1 single crochet, chain 1 single crochet into that corner, because that's just enough to get us round there. Carrying on round and into this kind of like inside corner here, I'm going to miss a stitch again. It doesn't, it doesn't have to be the same stitch every time, just as long as it's in that middle area, because otherwise it's going to end up flying out or not sitting right. So it just makes it so it's got a nice shape to it. And then I'm just going to work in one single crochet in each stitch until I get back to the other side. Don't forget, when you get round here, miss your middle stitch, and in this corner do a one single crochet, chain one single crochet, and then slip stitch back into the end of your round. Right, so this is what our beanie looks like. So this is actually the front. See, it's a nice size for an adult. So this is the front. It's got lovely detail. We're just finished with a single crochet border round, and then this is the back. So your seam, this, like I said, this is going to come in handy because we're going to need to cover that up later. And it's got a lovely shape what fits over the ears and around the back of the neck. So it's starting to look a bit more like a helmet, which is exactly what look we're going for today. Right, so without any more prattling on and talking, what I'm going to do is first find my crochet hook. Here it is. Whoopsie, I'm not very organised today, it's one of them days. And I'm going to go back to the colour what I used for inside this brim. So whatever colour you used, go back to that one. And we're going to put a slip knot. And we're going to do a chain 5 loop. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So if you remember when we made the beanie, this is what we did. And now I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2 and 3. And then into this, I'm just going to count these out. So I'm going to include my chain 3 when I'm counting here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Yeah, so 6 double crochets into that loop and just pull on it a little bit. Don't have to be too tight because we're going to go around this a few times. Just need more yarn. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 2, 3 and turn. And I'm going to go directly into the same stitch here for an increase of 1. And then I'm going to crochet into the next one. So I'm going to count these out. So 1, 2, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, and into the top of that chain 3 on the end, I'm going to put in 2, which is going to make 8. Oh, yarn's really fighting me today. One and so we kind of got a little triangle bit going on, and now I'm going to chain 3 again, turn and put in 1 directly underneath that chain. So we have 2. Now I'm going to start working along. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Number 8 is in the top of this double crochet, and 9 and 10 goes into the top of the chain 3. So 9 and 10. Now we don't want to do any more increases because this is just for the centre of our face mask. So what we're going to do is chain up 3 again, turn, and we're not going to go directly underneath here, we're going to go into the next stitch. So count them out again, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 is in the top of this chain 3. Brilliant. Right, chain 3, turn, and same again, don't work into this stitch, work into the next one, because we're counting this chain 3, and we're going to do another row. Hopefully I'm not working too quick, but you can pause me if you like, or you can mute me. Don't really care. Do what you like. So once you get the hang of this pattern, it's it's quite simple to do. Right, so that's where we're at now. So I am going to do one more row, and then I will meet you back. Right, so what we're going to do now is, I've just done that extra row there. I'm going to chain up 3, turn, yarn over, go into this first stitch here, pull up loop, go into the next one, pull up loop, because we're going to do some decreasing now, and work through the first 3, and then through the next 2. And then I'm going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch, so that's across. So this is nearly the last one. Right, so I have the double crochet here, and then I have a chain here. So I'm going to yarn over, go into this double crochet, pull up a loop, go into the top of the chain 3, pull up a loop, pull through 3 loops, and then pull through 2 loops, and then chain 3, and turn. So again, yarn over, go into this first one, go into the second one, pull through 3 loops, pull through 2 loops, and then work until you get to the end, and do the same. So on that last double crochet, you're going to work into and pull up loop, and then do the same into the chain 3 space, which we're nearly there. So this is my last double crochet and chain 3. So into that last stitch and into your chain 3 also. Pull through 3, pull through 2, and then chain 3 again. We're going to do this one more time, I think. Might as well just do it on camera because it's working on a small piece. So I'll just pull through 3 loops and then pull through 2. And we're just going to mosey on. Work at your own speed, and it's not a race. Right, that's that last double crochet there, so work in, and then go into your top of your chain 3, pull through 3 and pull through 2. So you can see we're kind of mimicking this same shape on this side. So what we need to do now is chain 3. I'm going to count my stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, so because we're trying to get this even on both sides, so I think we should do another decrease here. No, hang on. Bear with me a second. Right. Because it's not going to be exactly the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something a bit different here. Go into your first stitch and don't finish your double crochet, but just yarn over and go into your next one. We're going to do all these together. I know it seems a bit, your hook's going to get very full, so yarn over, go into your next stitch, pull up loop, yarn over, pull through 2 only, so you're leaving that last stitch on your hook, or your last loop on your hook. And through the top of that chain 3. So this is difficult with such chunky yarn. And then we yarn over and pull through every single last stitch and do a slip stitch, because that's mimicking all these stitches in there. It does look a bit funny, a bit of a funny shape for now, but the shape does even out on the next part of the video. Right, so what we're going to do now is I've cut that colour off, and I'm using this grey again. And what I'm going to do is I want to just go into this next, just to find a gap in where those stitches are there, and draw up a loop and do a slip stitch into there, and then chain 1, and this is going to be a little tricky to see what I'm doing, but I'm going to try and explain the best what I'm doing. Right, so on all these edges we have these big loopy gaps. So this is what we're going to be working into. I'm not going to go through the stitches, but rather than through these gaps, because it just makes it look better. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm working in half double crochets. So in this first area, I'm just going to call it an area, because it's not even like a stitch we're going into. Going to do 1 and 2. Yarn over, move on to the next row. Do 2 in there. Move on to the next row. It's like the top of each. It's the top of each row, basically. And what this is going to do is just add some more detail, and it's going to even out the shape on the edge also, which is nice. Going to make it a little wider and a little bit more rigid. I don't like to use yarn what's too soft for this part, because otherwise it's just never going to hold its shape. So I'm just in the top of each row, I'm just continuing working half double crochets, as you can see. And we're coming up to a corner. Don't be frightened. Right, basically this is where we started, and this is our chain 5 loop. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start putting half double crochets in there until it kind of makes its own way around. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So it's kind of made the other half of that circle, if you can see, which looks quite nice. It will start to bow under a little bit, but it's a face mask, so brilliant. It's meant to do that. And just carry on. So into the next space, 2 half doubles. Yeah. I'm getting my stitches mixed up today. I either need more sleep or less caffeine. So again, just in the top of each row, I'm working right round the last stitch, just doing half double crochets. So I don't have an exact stitch count for this, so I'm just going by feel, make sure it's not too overcrowded, because then you start running into problems like it buckling up on you. So just kind of do it by feel, going by how it looks. That's always the best way. Right, now we're back to here. So this is a little tricky to see because this side isn't constructed the same as this side, but we're going to try and make it look similar now. So I'm just going to try and get right into the centre of this cluster here. Can take a little bit of doing. There. And we're going to put in 6 half double crochets, the same as the other side, and then it will look the same. Takes a bit of getting used to, and you really have to pack them in there, because again this is where we did 6 together, but with a little perseverance. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, just 2 more. 4, 5 and 6, and then I'm going into the top with a slip stitch. And now what I want to do is, because this is going to give it even more detail, is I want to slip stitch to this first big ridge here, to that first big ridge. So 1, 2, 3. It's about 4 slip stitches, and then in this half double here, I am going to go underneath it, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through. And what that's going to do is it's going to set us up to work along this ridge down here. So what I'm going to do is, you can see where these stitches are. I'm going to go under, kind of like this post stitch, yarn over, and we're going to single crochet down here. So it is a bit tricky to do. You can fold it, that does make it a bit easier. It's like underneath here is where we're aiming for. And the more you do with these, the easier this little segment does get. So as you can see, it's easier to fold it and go back down, and that's going to create awesome little ridges on the front of our faceplate. So what I'm going to do is, at the top of here, I'm going to slip stitch, turn my mask around so the back's facing me, and I'm going to slip stitch across until I get to the middle. So I don't want to pull these slip stitches too tight. I'm sorry if I keep going off camera, it's just not very well set up today. I'm going to turn, couple more, because I'm aiming for this ridge here. Everyone might have a slightly different number, and that's it. And I'm going to do the same down here. Going to single crochet around these kind of like let's call it a center post. So I'm just going straight through my work. If you're not sure, flatten it back out. Make sure you're still on track. And and I'm so sorry if this ends up into like an hour and a half long video. It's just there's quite a bit of detail in here. Right, so again, slip stitch into the top, and I'm now going this way because I just want to put one more ridge here on the opposite side so it matches the other. So again, slip stitch, slip stitch. You're not going to see these anyway, it's the same colour of what we've just been using, so hurrah for that. And one more. Now I'm back here again. So yeah, it's kind of lay it flat, kind of gauge it where it should be, you know, because there's two quite close here. So yeah, gauge it and see where it needs to be. Can be a bit fiddly, but once you get the hang of it, it's like anything. You know, if it's first time doing it, yeah, of course it's going to be awkward. But yeah, the more you make and the more practice you have, the easier it does get. So I'm just kind of feeling my way through these stitches here. Ta-da! And it creates a nice ridge on there as well. Right, so what I'm going to do now is slip stitch here, and then I'm just going to put one more slip stitch into it, either the left or right, and pull my arm through and cut it off. Because I don't want that colour anymore. Right, so as you can see, our edge is still a little wonky, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to scare you all to death and go back with my black yarn. This row's really easy. All we're going to do is we are just going to put in one single crochet in each stitch all the way around. And I'm going to do these fast, because this video is going to end up being too long, but I didn't want to do it all in little segments. So when I get to a ridge here, I'm just going to skip over this big lump here and just carry on. Yeah, just going to put them where you feel it needs it. See, even I make mistakes sometimes. So yeah, I should have gone in to a little bit closer. Yeah, that's better. So again, you know, this is another one where it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. Normally, every time I make one of these, it always ends up a little bit different. But hey, that's not a bad thing always. Means no two are alike. Just means it's not factory made. So I'm just coming up to this corner. So we're not going to do any extra chains because it's only single crochet round, and this is the last round of this face mask. So just one into each. This is where I have all these slip stitches on this side, so you just have to kind of feel out where you want to put your stitches to kind of hide them, and I'm struggling here. There we go. And yeah, this is what we're at so far. So it's looking quite like a rugby ball shape at the moment, or American football shape. It depends which country you're in at the moment. I'm in England, so we call it a rugby ball. Right, so I'm just going to finish the rest of this off camera, and then I will be back to show you how we're going to attach some like little loops on here. Right, so I know I said about the last round, but it turns out that it's not quite big enough for what I want. So I'm just going to add another round of black onto it. So I'm going to do half double crochets this time. So I'm just going to go one into each stitch. Sorry, I am using black, and I know that people hate using black because like, you can't see what I'm doing properly. But then again, I'm only putting one half double crochet into each stitch around. So yeah, it's it's relatively a simple round on this one. There's nothing complicated. There's no little yarn voodoo or trickery going on. It's literally just one round of half double crochet. And that should give me a little extra wiggle room, so this thing covers my face a little bit more, and so it gives that extra little bit of length on the entire thing. So if you're making one of these for a smaller person, or a teen, or a child, just change your hook size. So I'm using a 5, so slightly change your yarn weight down to an Aran if you're making one of these. Maybe go down half a millimetre or a full millimetre on your hook size. That should be okay for a child. I don't want to be making 1,000 videos for 50 different sizes all for the same thing, because I'll just get bored of making videos. But there's little tips and tricks you can do to make things a different size. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm now choosing which is going to be which is top and which is bottom on here, and I'll tell you why. This is just going to add a little bit of shape under chin just to help it stay in place when it's on. So where this middle ridge is, I'm going to do 3. I'm going to do 3 half double crochets all together, and then I'm just going to carry on, and that's it. So where that middle ridge is, I'm just going to put 3 together, and what that's going to do is it's just going to create a little, kind of like a little resting place, what just goes under your chin. Just adds a little bit more shape and just makes it look a little bit more finished off. So I'm still going around just doing half doubles, half double crochets even. And I'm nearly back around actually. A quick round, easy. Decided to use these colours today because I've always got little bits lying around and I never know what to do with them. This is a great one if you don't have much of one colour but you still really like it, because you can use it for your face mask, you can use it for the detailing on your beanie, and also in the top part of our beanie, when on the next part of the video you can incorporate different colours, scraps and odds and ends in there as well. Which we will be coming to shortly. Just coming up on the end of this, and I'm just going to slip stitch back into that first one and pull my yarn and cut my yarn off. Right, for this next bit I will be using grey, because it's a nice and chunky, which is what we want for this part, because now we're going to be putting our like little straps. Yeah, right. So just going to go into a stitch here, and we're just going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Go up here to the opposite side, just here, and pop in a slip stitch on, so it's on the underneath side. So we are going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm kind of like skipping 5 here. I'm going from front to back, back to front, with a slip stitch, and then another, and then a chain, and then I'm just going to bring out a tail sewing, because this is just going to give us a little tag there to hook around our buttons. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to weave all my ends in, and then that is the face mask finished. Right, so what I'm going to do now is just a quick little segment on where to attach your buttons. Right, so what I normally do is I normally put on the beanie, and then put your face mask up quite tight, and put your fingers kind of like put your fingers through the loops. And when you put the face mask on, you can kind of like gauge where it needs to be. It needs to be tight, but not so it's suffocating you, basically. So on each side, make sure you got them the right way around. And then I'm just going to put in a couple of stitches where it needs to be. And it just so happens that on me, it's the corner edge here. So I'm going to put a couple of what I like to call foundation stitches in here, just to give my yarn something to grab onto. And then I'm going to grab one of my giant buttons. Yep. And I'm just going to sew this in place here. Now I'm going to sew this quite tight because I don't want this moving anywhere. So I'm going to go through here a few times. Now, yes, you can use whatever buttons you want, whatever colour. I'm just using these big giant ones because, yes, I'll just have them lying around the house. And I might put some blue into the Mohican part as well, so it'll give it something to match onto. So I'm just going to go through there a few times. Yes, no special, no serious, it's just sewing on a button. Making sure I'm grabbing stitches underneath it as I go as well. Because that'll help it to give it so much grip. And turn it round. I'm going to work into here a little bit. No, you're not going to see it anywhere. Just so your button don't come flying off in the wash or as you're wearing it. That'll do. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I will join you back for the Mohican part of this video. Right, so I've put my buttons on, and this is how it looks with the face mask attached. So yeah, this is starting to look like a helmet now. So this is from the front. So when it's on, you can see out of there, don't worry. And if you don't want it on, you can take it off, or you can even put it on over your head. Right, so moving on swiftly. The next part, what we're going to do is we are going to make the crest, which is going to get sewn up here, directly in the middle. So I've already done this off camera. I have got a back to my original colour with a chain of 30. And then once you've got your chain, I'm going to go into the second chain from my hook with a half double crochet. And I'm going to work on all the way down until I get to the end, and I will see you there. Right, so I'm at the end now of my chain. So what I'm going to do is, in this last one, I am going to put in another half double, another half double. I do have a point behind this, or a reason. And another, so that's 3 in the same stitch. 4 in the same stitch even, and then I'm going to work down the back of my chain until I get to the end, and I will see you then. Right, so I've just come up to the end of that round, or that row, and this is on the back side of my chain. So what I'm going to do is I am going to slip stitch into this end one. Chain one, turn, and I'm going to work all the way around, put in 1 half double crochet into each stitch. So yeah, and then that's it for that round, and then I will see you back. Right, so I'm just coming up to the end of this round, and it's looking a little funny at the moment, but bear with it. So I'm just going to pop one in the end there, and then I'm just going to slip stitch and pull off a long yarn tail, because we're going to be sewing this one. Just got my snips, take this away, and we are left with this. So what this is going to be is we're going to sew this onto the top of our hat. It does straighten out. So what you want to do is get your hat, and then when you put it on, I normally find that just before the centre on the front is where it needs to be. So this gets sewn across down here. So I'm going to do this off camera, but yeah, take your time. Make sure when you do sew it, make sure it goes down. You can use this ridge. I always sew it from front to back. So you want to do it so it's not completely closed together. So it's a couple of stitches apart, because that'll just add some good definition onto it. I won't do it on camera because this video is getting a bit long now. So yeah, good luck with that. But no, in all seriousness, it's not difficult. You just, you know, this is front. You just do it from about there. In middle from the top. You can always put it on, so yeah, put it on first, so don't have it too far forward. You know, you want it going from about the top of the head back, and I will see you after I've done that. Right, on to the final part of this video, thank God. It's been a long one, people. I have my beautiful assistant, Mandy. She's been with me from the beginning, and she's never going to retire. So, this is just basically for the purpose of having the right shape to do my sewing with. It is actually just an old bedside lamp. So, set Mandy aside. I have made some of these. So it's just lengths of yarn, some more here, and these are going to be used for the top part of the mohawk, or the crown, crescent, crest, whatever you like to call it, on the little thingy on top of the helmet, which you can just see in camera here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab, let's say 2. Yeah, 2. And I'm just going to go through a stitch on the top. It's the stitch what goes all the way through. I can show you like this because I can sit Mandy up. All the way through, hook over, pull through a bit of the loop. You can even take your hook out at this point. Pop your fingers through there, grab it, pull it over. It's like a giant, it's basically a giant slip stitch. And I'm just going to do this on every single stitch going down. This is another great use for scrap yarn. You can make these as long or as short as you like, but generally about 8 inches long each is what I generally make them, because otherwise you're going to end up struggling if they're really short. So I'm going to turn. I'm always going through from the same side, and just like that. And you just pull them a little tight, get them out of your way, on with the next. So you can do these all the same colour, you can do them rainbow colours. It's entirely up to you. You don't even have to put any on if you don't like them. I just think it really finishes the whole look of this beanie. So, like with all my videos, I will say thank you very much for watching and following, and I hope you enjoy making this beanie. I've enjoyed doing the video. It's taken me all day, but then again it's raining, so I didn't have to go anywhere. If you're not already on my Instagram, I am Crochet Kyle over on Instagram, and don't forget to like and subscribe here. If you have any problems with this pattern, or if you need a little help, drop a little comment in the comment section below, and I'll try and do my best to give you a hand if I can. So once again, thank you very much from me, and I hope you enjoy this pattern. Until next time, bye!